high-tech oils, available from Auto One, Sprint Auto Parts, and all leading independent auto stores.
After more than 1,000 kilometres of punishing, treacherous and unforgiving terrain, the Australian Off-Road Championship has finally reached its crescendo with round 3 and the running of the Waikerie Riverland Enduro. With one final gauntlet to contest, what lies at the end is the ultimate prize, the coronation of the 2016 Australian Off-Road Champion. Leading the charge with impressive consistency, Aaron Habe enters the final round with a firm grip on top of the points. But in this game, Habe knows that one false move can be the difference between everything and nothing.
Friday night scrutineering, so you hopefully everything's spec'd ready to go. And Saturday's prologue, obviously that's a bit of a shakedown for the race. And then Sunday, we've got basically 2 laps, then a 1 hour break, then all 2 laps, then a 15-minute break, then back in for another 1 lap. So that's sort of it's just go all day. Bit of fuel in there, the 2 stops, so yeah, it's pretty busy.
Defending 2015 champion Shannon Wrench has endured a rugged and gruelling year. And after a poor finish at the Tatsfink Desert Race, Wrench is looking to salvage his title defence with a win.
We'll just have to, it's pretty much going to be a sprint, it's going to be really fast, and yeah, hopefully we can have a clean run. We've had a little bit of trouble here the last few years, so hopefully we can shake that off and bring it home. It's actually a little bit drier up here than what we thought. That had a bit of rain, but it doesn't look like as much as we thought. So it is, he's going to be pretty dusty, and yeah, lucky enough we're going to be at the front of the field, so hopefully we can stir up a bit of dust and keep everyone behind us.
In the hunt for his 3rd consecutive Riverland Enduro win, Jack Rhodes will be taking no prisoners this weekend as he lines up Habe and Wrench in his crosshairs. Falling short in rounds 1 and 2, Rhodes knows that with an off-road title in the balance, it's now or never.
You know, Fink's a beast of its own, but I think generally anywhere if you can run with inside the top 10 at sort of any track around Australia, you can take some sort of confidence. You're sort of around on the money and competitive. I think it's going to take a lot of focus and it's going to be a battle throughout the day because conditions aren't really shaping up.
Despite being out of contention for the 2016 championship, Michael Marson has arrived at the final round hungrier than ever. With one final assault remaining, he's looking to shake up the field and derail some of the championship contenders.
Points-wise in the championship, we sort of we're not doing so good with a couple of DNFs. So this weekend we got 5th outright here 2 years ago, and so we just really want to just finish the race. But we're going to be pushing. Like I'm not coming here didn't drive 3,000 k's just to get around the track and go whatever. We're just going to go. So we'll have a bit of fun. If something happens, too bad. We're not really risking points or anything. So we're really going to go out there and have a bit of fun and see how hard we can go.
Having never tackled this track before, Brent Perrott is in the hunt for a maiden win here at Waikerie. And his UTV Polaris is primed to take on the packed Superlight field.
I've never been here before, so it'll be interesting to see how it all works. Really like the track though. It's probably a lot more suited to us than what the last Fink and Mildura were. There's probably more corners here. There's still a lot of straights, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I reckon it's a pretty awesome track out there.
Looking to salvage a year littered with bad luck and adversity, Clayton Chapman has returned for one final shot in his Mitsubishi Triton. Clayton knows that when backed into a corner, there is only one option: fight.
The Waikerie track here is much easier on cars than the Fink track. It's more, I'd say, more of a driver's track than the Fink track. It's a lot easier on mechanicals, so which is a good thing, and yeah, we're looking forward to it.
This is the Waikerie Riverland Enduro, the third and final round of the 2016 Australian Off-Road Championship. Nestled some 170 kilometres northeast of Adelaide is Waikerie, a riverland town on the banks of South Australia's Murray River. Founded in 1882 during the era of the paddle steamers, over 1,700 South Aussies now call Waikerie home. Primarily a citrus-growing region, this weekend sees the return of one of its biggest events, the Waikerie Riverland Enduro. Supported by Albin's Off-Road Gear, the Waikerie Hotel and the Riverland West Chamber of Commerce, the annual Enduro is spread across 2 days and nearly 400 kilometres of gruelling terrain. With almost 100 teams converging to see who will be crowned the 2016 Australian Off-Road Champion. Beginning on Saturday with the prologue, where teams will fight it out for the best times, the quickest then progress to a top 10 shootout, which will determine the starting order for race day. Returning early Sunday morning, the final race of the 2016 championship will get underway with the running of the 375 kilometre long Riverland Enduro, where at the end, a new champion will be crowned. Round 1 of the 2016 championship was contested in Mildura, with Matthew Kittle and navigator Jordan Johansson taking outright honours. Round 2 saw the annual off-road pilgrimage to Australia's Red Centre and the running of the epic Taps Fink Desert Race. One of the world's greatest desert races, Glenn Owen and navigator Matt Ryan took the King of the Desert crown over Dakar winner Toby Price. Coming into the third and final round at Waikerie, the outright points see the consistent Aaron Habe maintaining a slim lead over Fink winner Glenn Owen. Two-time Riverland Enduro champion Jack Rhodes sits in third overall, with Travis Robinson and Steven Sanderson both still within striking distance of the 2016 off-road crown. The Waikerie Riverland Enduro would begin with the running of the Caudo Vineyard Prologue, a time trial held on an 11-kilometre abridged version of the overall 75-kilometre course. A good prologue time is essential for victory in the Enduro itself, as the best times laid down set the starting order and afford the pole sitter a clear track and clean air free of dust that notoriously impedes vision. Starting in categories, production four-wheel drive would be first to contest the prologue, and it was current class leader Amy Chapman who would ring the bell on the 2016 Waikerie Riverland Enduro. Leading the naturally aspirated superlights away, Amy's brother, Brent Perrott, would be in the hunt for a better result in round 3, having fallen victim to the unforgivable conditions of last round's Fink Desert Race. Also looking to improve following a DNF at the Fink, former Australian rally champion Cody Crocker would begin the Turbo Superlights campaign. With the 2016 championship coming to a close this weekend, Crocker would be desperate to consolidate some last-minute points in his quest for a maiden Australian off-road title. After coming second in class at the Fink Desert Race, Werner Zettel would be first to contest the prologue for Super 1650 Buggy. Zettel would be facing off with 14 other class competitors, one of the largest class entry lists this weekend. Performance two-wheel drive would begin their prologue run, led by Jeff Loader, with Paul Heumann, Fink class winner Darren Vanderwood, and teenager Stuart Chapman following closely behind. Dale Martin would kick off the Pro Light Buggies Riverland campaign in the prologue, competing with 17 other teams for the class crown. Clinching third place at the Fink, Martin's chief rivals this weekend would be fellow Fink veterans James Lockett and Tony Fellhaber. Extreme four-wheel drive would see Clayton Chapman leading the charge in his highly modified Mitsubishi Triton. After rolling on the first corner in last year's prologue and suffering a DNF in this year's Fink race, Clayton would be desperate to taste success as he looks to salvage his 2016 season. After frenetically battling everything the Fink could throw at him, Greg Gartner would return to lead the Extreme two-wheel drive field away in the final round of this year. In one of the most hotly contested categories, Gartner's foes include the rampaging Bo Robinson and defending class champion Steven Sanderson. In the Premier Pro Buggy category, Bo's brother Travis would launch first, beginning his hunt for a much-needed podium finish. After taking prologue honours in round one of the championship, a steering malfunction sealed his fate and forced him out of the opening round. Fink Desert Race prologue winner Jack Rhodes would follow Robinson's lead, 2015 series champion Shannon Wrench and current points leader Aaron Havey closely behind. Despite being contested on a compact 11-kilometre course, it wasn't long before the drama began unfolding. In a cruel twist that would all but destroy his chance of a championship, points leader Aaron Havey was first to fall victim to Lady Luck, with a plug coming off the throttle of his pro buggy. With no throttle power, the championship leader would be left to limp back to the pits, his title hopes slipping further away. After performing flawlessly in rounds 1 and 2, Greg Gartner would brutally suffer a prologue-ending blow when a crank sensor failed on his Ford F-150 truck. Gartner would have to rush a repair job if he was to return for the Enduro tomorrow. Just 1 kilometre from the finish line, Cody Crocker suffered a broken drive belt, throwing his Riverland campaign into total disarray. Crocker would have to rush a repair job too if he was to contest the 375-kilometre Enduro tomorrow. Putting the pieces in place for his third consecutive Riverland title, Jack Rhodes would lay down the quickest prologue time and advance to the top 10 shootout. With an average speed of 112 kilometres per hour, he took prologue honours by 8 massive seconds, a feat made even more impressive given the remainder of the top 10 all finished within 10 seconds of each other. Scott Schiller finished the prologue in second place, with Shannon Wrench only 0.02 of a second behind in third. Reigning king of the desert, Glenn Owen took fourth fastest in the prologue, with Michael Marson and Travis Robinson also progressing to the top 10 shootout. A feature of this weekend's Waikerie Riverland Enduro is the Mickey Thompson Tyres Dash for Cash, which sees the remaining 10 competitors in the top 20 battling it out for cash and prizes. The Dash for Cash decides positions 11 through 20 in the starting order, and this weekend it was Wally Frankham who would take out the top prize. Clayton Chapman would finish second behind Frankham, with Luke Urseg coming in third place to round out the Mickey Thompson Tyres Dash for Cash. With one last chance to shake up starting positions for the Waikerie Riverland Enduro, the top 10 fastest competitors would contest the Sprint Freight and Logistics Top 10 Shootout to decide once and for all who would take pole position. Each team would be given one final chance to improve their prologue time, with first place sitter Jack Rhodes starting last. Firing a warning shot across the bow, Shannon Wrench would dramatically knock Rhodes off the top spot, blitzing Rhodes' pace-setting prologue time by 3 seconds to take pole position for tomorrow's Riverland Enduro. Wrench's time of 5 minutes and 50 seconds was a mammoth 10 seconds faster than his prologue time, showing the entire field why the defending AORC champion can never be counted out. King of the Desert, Glenn Owen, would slip into second place, knocking Rhodes down yet another notch by improving 6 seconds on his previous time. After dominating the prologue with staunch authority, Jack Rhodes would drop 7 seconds on his previous best and find himself in third position in the Spring Freight and Logistics Shootout. A disappointing run for the two-time Riverland champ. After starting 10th, local South Aussie Wally Frankham would catapult into the top 5, landing in 4th and improving 10 seconds on his prologue time. Second place sitter Scott Schiller would drop to 5th in the shootout, losing 3 seconds on his previous best. Travis Robinson's mission of redemption was just beginning to heat up, improving 6 seconds on his prologue and slotting comfortably into P6 for tomorrow's race. Laying down an almost identical prologue time, Chris Weston landed in 7th, Danny Brown and Rana Haran just behind. Along with the dramatic dethroning of Rhodes, the other major talking point was Michael Marson, whom after finishing a solid 6th in the prologue, would fall 4 places to 10th, 6 valuable seconds down on his previous time. After falling victim to the Fink, Shannon Wrench's undeniable powerful return to form was a shot in the arm to the defending champ, streaking ahead of the field by almost 10 seconds. One of the biggest stories from Prologue was the inclusion of Extreme 4-wheel drive's Clayton Chapman. Finishing 12th outright, he beat 14 faster pro buggies to land his best Prologue result of the year. He's joined this weekend by wife Amy, brother Stuart and brother-in-law Brent Perrott.
Win is the number one goal, as always, but also it'd be very embarrassing to be beaten by your little sister. So I guess the main thing is to make sure we finish in front of her as well.
Yeah, with my brother and I racing each other, him in the Superlight and me in production class, there's always a little bit of competition because I'm just behind him, so I keep him on his toes.
The ruts, like at Mildura, a lot of sections there, we were just sitting on a bash plate, so the ruts rut out that deep from the bigger buggies, which makes it a bit interesting, but these things are pretty good. You always seem to get through.
It's awesome to see both cars and my brother and his wife and to do really well and for everything to go well, so no, it's great.
I think we didn't finish. We got 70 Ks in, which is very disappointing again, but it all happened for good reason. We had a lot of issues, so we're looking forward to a good race here. We've done great prep, and the goal for this race is basically it is to finish. We love to top the class. There's a good field of extreme 4-wheel drive competitors this week, and then if we can bring the car home within the top 20 cars, that'd be fantastic.
With the sun setting on day 1 of the Waikerie Riverland Enduro, the stage would now be set for day 2 and the epic 375-kilometre crusade, where at the end, the 2016 Australian Off-Road Champion will be crowned. With the top 10 shootout setting the starting order for the 375-kilometre long Albans Off-Road Gear Riverland Enduro, The teams would reassemble early Sunday morning, awaiting the start of the final race of the year. Defending Riverland Enduro champ Jack Rhodes took prologue honours yesterday, but in the shootout, Shannon Wrench returned with a vengeance by laying down a blistering time 10 seconds quicker than any other car, placing him on pole for today's final race. With 97 teams tackling the prologue yesterday, only 52 would return for race day. And the biggest omission of all was Extreme Two-Wheel Drive's Greg Gartner. While fixing his crank sensor yesterday, Gartner would discover another unrelated issue and be given no choice but to retire. A disappointing end for one of the Off-Road Championship's most dominant drivers. The 375k Enduro would encompass 5 laps of the 75-kilometre course, with a compulsory service break after lap 2. Once racing recommences, a further compulsory 15-minute break would be enforced before the final lap dash begins. To be considered a finisher, competitors have to complete a minimum of 3 out of the 5 laps, or be left facing those 3 infamous letters, DNF. Featuring a sand and limestone racing surface, teams would have to walk a tightrope of conservative and aggressive racing, laying off the throttle in certain sections while going full noise into others. With the entire field launching in pairs every 30 seconds, it was pole sitter Shannon Wrench who would blast out of the blocks first alongside Glenn Owen. A formidable adversary for Wrench, Owen took Section 1 honours in Mildura and backed up his claim to take the Fink King of the Desert throne in round 2. In the hunt for his 3rd consecutive Riverland title and his first Australian Off-Road Championship, Jack Rhodes would start next, paired with the surprise entry of Wally Frankham. The third pairing of Scott Schiller and Travis Robinson was next, with Robinson looking to go one better this weekend after finishing 2nd in Pro Class at the Fink Desert Race. The next pairing saw Chris Weston face off with Danny Brown, while Kiwi Rana Haran would duke it out with Michael Marson to round out the top 10 starters. With the throttle plug ending his day prematurely yesterday, Aaron Habe was back in the saddle today, seeding into the field in 11th place. Paired with Extreme Four-Wheel Drive's Clayton Chapman, Habe would be in desperate pursuit of the checkered flag, needing an epic showing to maintain his thin grip on the championship lead. With luck and consistency on his side in 2016, Glenn Owen would finally be dealt a killer blow 40 k's in. The King of the Desert title holder would be forced off the track and out of the race, an engine fire engulfing his pro buggy. Shannon Wrench and Jack Rhodes both stopped to assist Owen with extinguishing the fire, but Owen's day and season was quite literally cooked. With Rhodes and Wrench losing their advantage of track position, Travis Robinson would take the race lead, and crossing the control line to complete lap 1 had established a firm grip on the top spot. Wrench would complete the first lap in 2nd, while Rhodes crossed 3rd on track. Without the stoppage to assist Owen, his lap time bested both his rivals, just 4 seconds quicker overall than Robinson. Starting on the back foot today, Aaron Havey had advanced 6 places to finish his first lap in 5th outright. A muscular return to form for the current points leader. Following a disappointing Fink campaign, teenager Tyler Human was back with a vengeance this weekend in Waikerie. In the hunt for a strong finish to cap off the year, the young gun is ready to put his pedal to the metal in performance two-wheel drive.
I've been going racing with Dad for about 8 years now and always loved it ever since I first saw the sport, and just pit crewing for Dad and jumped in his car and navigated one day and just ended up swapping his old car for this thing here. Sit in the shed at nights and just can't sit around. I just build new things every night on it. I've built all the front end on the car, all the interior, the rear end. It's always good to start young. It's keeping me out of trouble in the streets, and I've got no money left to spend anywhere else except on my race car.
As the weather closed in and chilly winds began howling, Travis Robinson was pushing hard to consolidate his lead, hitting lap 2 of the 5-lap trek. With the compulsory service break fast approaching, Robinson would be looking to hold on to the top spot, which would give him control of the race once back on track. The Waikerie track thus far had been an unforgiving foe, and as the race progressed, more scalps would join the Hall of Pain. Continuing his streak of bad luck in tough spots, Michael Marson's campaign would come to a grinding halt when he encountered CV joint issues on his pro buggy. This, however, was just the beginning. James Lockett was hit with an axle issue and also had no choice but to call it a day. Making it there and back at Fink, Lockett's pro-light buggy would survive his home track, another name to a growing list of casualties. After exerting class dominance throughout the year, Brent Perrott was next to be bludgeoned by the Waikerie Riverland track. His superlight UTV done and dusted. After posting his best prologue, Clayton Chapman would again be dealt a cruel blow, with turbo issues again forcing him off the road. A repeat of what the Fink Desert served up to him. And proving that luck plays a major role, teenager Tyler Human and his performance two-wheel drive would also join the list of casualties. A fuel pump issue coming between him and a race finish. Facing a long off-season, Marson, Lockett, Perrott, Chapman and Human would now have to wait until 2017 to redeem their stretch of bad luck. By the end of lap 2, Travis Robinson was still in command of the overall race lead by almost a minute. With the compulsory service window now open, Robinson would take solace in knowing he'd have a major head start over second place sitter Shannon Wrench once racing resumed. Sitting just behind Wrench, Jack Rhodes would sit in third position at the break, with Aaron Habe maintaining his grip on fifth place. Making a run into the top 10, Jaws Racing's Greg Hicks would be staking his claim in 7th, while Beau Robinson would lead the Extreme 2-wheel drive field in 10th overall. So with 2 laps down and still 3 to go, we need a break here from Waikerie. Stick around to find out who will be the champion in 2016. Off-road racing is treacherous and unpredictable at best. A physically and mentally demanding motorsport like no other. Piloting one of these off-road beasts is a test not for the faint-hearted, pushing the drivers and navigators to the limits.
I think when I started, I really struggled with it. I used to get out after the first section and be completely done and not want to get back in the car.
It does get hard on your body in the car, mainly a lot of mental fatigue. There's high levels of concentration because of the high speeds. So both Adam and I always focusing on what's going on. So to keep that level of concentration up for 5 hours straight it can be difficult.
I generally usually get a little bit better as the day goes on. I find I probably struggle a little bit in the first lap, getting into a rhythm, but yeah, as the day goes on, I seem to like it, enjoy it more, and find that rhythm.
There can be times at the end of the day where you do lack concentration. You start to fade out and you start to slow down a bit. That's why Adam's awesome to have you there, kicking me in the ribs, so you get back into it and keep going.
I don't really ever get tired in the car, and I think a good car, you don't have to overdrive it. And I think that's a difference from what I've owned before to what I've owned now.
I do try and focus on fitness a lot, and it does play a big toll on, by the end of the day, the G-forces in braking, and you put like pushing yourself back and bracing yourself off the steering wheel a lot.
We don't do a great deal of training for this sport. Spend too much time in the shed working on cars, so they say we should do more training, do better, and obviously the fitter you are, the easier it would be on you. But we unfortunately do all the work ourselves, so it's too many hours in the shed swinging spanners. That's our exercise.
A lot of work at home in the shed on the car. It takes up a lot of the time, but yeah, try and get to the gym and do a little bit in there, weights and a bit of cardio stuff, so which does help with the longer races.
Also the mental side of it, you can really drain you as well, like a split second of a lapse of concentration and you can be in a tree.
It's a lot to get your head around for starters, listening to technical information coming in as you're trying to process the track changes and other cars around you and that kind of things.
Chris and I got a really good understanding, and when we're racing, he's calling stuff consistently through the intercom, but I don't talk. So I'm pretty much silent the whole time. And usually when you're just in that groove, you're in the groove.
Monday, I'm usually wrecked. Like Monday, it's a hard day. I definitely pull up sore.
Every track's a little bit different, but they're all physically and mentally draining at the end of the weekend.
Actually, it's a lot like playing footy, where the first race of the year is sore as hell after. But then after you've done a race or two for the season, then you pretty much carry that throughout the year.
With the compulsory service break out of the way, the teams would return to the start line to begin the final stretch of the 2016 Waikerie Riverland Enduro. The ever-changing weather would continue to throw curveballs at the teams, dramatically affecting speed and vision. With the temperature dropping and the wind picking up, the run to the line would be a true test of luck and endurance. Leading the pack into the break, Travis Robinson would be the first to begin the final stretch, the final race, with Shannon Wrench taking off second in his pursuit of Robinson. and 225 Ks remaining, the entire field would begin the final run to the line for the 2016 Australian Off-Road Championship. Flying the flag for performance two-wheel drive, Paul Newman was back in the saddle following a Fink campaign littered with bad luck. With his son Tyler already on the sidelines, it was up to the elder Newman to fly the family flag. Back in production four-wheel drive, Amy Chapman was also looking to do the family name proud, with husband Clayton and brother Brent Perrott already victims of the ever-changing, wintry South Aussie conditions. Taking the top prize in production four-wheel drive at this year's Fink Desert Race, Chapman would be looking to cap off a stellar year after also dominating round one in Mildura. Out the front, Travis Robinson's mission of redemption would spectacularly come to an end, leaving the early race leader no choice but to pull out. Another frustrating finish to a disappointing year. After making a huge impact early in the season and then being struck by mechanical gremlins, Robinson's comeback was over. The final battle would now turn into a winner-take-all showdown between Shannon Wrench and Jack Rhodes. And as they completed lap 3, it was Wrench who now controlled the race lead on track, but he was still 10 seconds behind Rhodes on overall time. Coming into the final round of the championship here this weekend, Rhodes would be looking to make amends for his results at Mildura and Fink, and this weekend is his last chance for a win.
Field's looking pretty tough, so to go, back to back to back would be a big effort. But going off, taking a bit of confidence from Fink, we didn't have the best of run down, but the car seems pretty good. Fink's a definite car wrecker, but this track can also shape up to be a pretty good car wrecker too. So you've got to approach it, with maximum attention as you can to just the finer little things and that have been catching us out lately. So yeah, we're finding a lot of gremlins, but we're also finding ways to sort through them. I think it's going to take a lot of focus and it's going to be a battle throughout the day because conditions aren't really shaping up. Just at the minute, too favourable for working when we come across lap traffic.
With Rhodes and Wrench duking it out up front, slightly behind in third place was the extreme two-wheel drive of Bo Robinson. Finishing on the outright podium at the Fink, Robinson would be looking to continue his powerful momentum coming into the final stretch today. Being the extreme two-wheel drive field, Robinson's biggest threat for category honours would be the 2015 Extreme two-wheel drive champion Steven Sanderson and his Jaws racing beast. Sanderson was less than 20 seconds behind Robinson coming into the fourth lap. And as the race approached the checkered, Sanderson would be pushing harder than ever before. Also from the Jaws Racing stable, veteran Greg Hicks and his Pro Buggy were making a meal of the Waikerie conditions. Starting 13th earlier today, Hicks had rallied to 7th place overall, knocking the fellow Pro Buggy of Aaron Havey down to 9th. Further back in the field, former Australian rally champion Cody Crocker was tearing up the turbo superlight combatants, staking his claim for a maiden off-road class championship. Winning 3 consecutive Australian Rally Championships and 4 back-to-back Asia-Pacific Rally titles, Crocker is the most successful driver in the history of the Asia-Pacific competition. Making his debut this year in the Australian Off-Road Championship, Crocker and his turbocharged Polaris were battered and bruised in rounds 1 and 2. And this weekend is his last chance to salvage some valuable championship points.
My background's always been in rallying, and so we did a lot of stuff in the Australian Rally Championship and the Asia Pacific Championship, had lots of success. And Polaris in 2008 had the Razor vehicle coming out, so I had some contacts within Polaris, and so we got a bit of a deal going together and managed to develop the Razor into a race vehicle, and we've progressed through various sort of series through the winch challenges and a bit of rallying as well, and now we're in the off-road scene, so we're trying a bit of everything. In the rally series, obviously the rally cars, full-blown rally spec, very sideways, all that sort of thing. The off-road mode of the Razor is more higher, set, so we've got a lot of rough stuff, so you tend to have a bias towards rough stuff rather than trying to sit it down low. So when we did the rally series with the Razor, we had it right down low as a rally car, and I drove it just like a rally car, so it actually suited me really well. In rallying, it's flat out every corner, every jump, everything is flat out. So this is a much more measured approach. You've got to actually, in a way, nurse the machinery, because if you go and jump everything flat out, you're going to break something and land and tumble and do something bad. Rally Australia, in the 10 or 12 years that I've done it, I've never won it. I've never had that real success. I've always had something that's been a real challenge, and Fink's exactly the same. We've had challenges every year. Something breaks, I'll break something, whatever it is. We've had a rough run. So next year, we'll look to next year now.
With only 1 lap and 75 k's to go in the Australian Off-Road Championship for 2016, Shannon Wrench would tighten his grip on the race lead, putting in the quickest time on the previous lap. He was now an unbeatable 3.5 minutes ahead of Jack Rhodes, who suffered a delaminated right rear and ended up having to fit 2 new tyres to his Jimco Pro Buggy. Rhodes' rapid pace throughout the entire event had saved him, as not even a tyre change could knock him out of contention, and he was still sitting in second place following the pit stop. And just when it looked like the storm had finally passed, the Waikerie hit list served up its ace of spades. Barely 15 kilometres from the checkered flag, race leader Shannon Wrench would suffer the wrath of Waikerie, pulling up after battling over 350 k's of intense wind and rain. With Wrench's title defence all but buried, Jack Rhodes would take the lead and bring home the gold, his third consecutive Waikerie Riverland title. Patience, consistency, perseverance and a bit of luck all contributing to a well-deserved victory in the final race of the year. Following his dominance in the prologue yesterday and winning outright today by a mammoth 8 minutes, Rhodes would catapult up the points to claim his maiden Australian Off-Road Championship. Returning to his former home track, Scott Schiller would take second place behind Rhodes on the podium, a superb finish for the ex-South Aussie local who was contesting his first AORC round of the year. And continuing his blistering form all season, Beau Robinson relentlessly battled the elements head-on to record yet another podium finish, his second of the year. It was a result made even more impressive given he was the first of the extreme two-wheel drive trucks to make it home. After a category littered with DNFs, Justin Watt would reign supreme in the Pro Light buggies, the only car to complete all 5 laps of the Waikerie Riverland course. Following a 375-kilometre long battle with class compatriot Werner Zettel, Graham Tickner would take the Super 1650 category, getting the better of Zettel by just under 4 minutes. In performance two-wheel drive, Jeff Loader would be the one and only driver to make it back alive, an impressive feat considering 5 other teams didn't survive. Following his Fink Desert Race victory, Kent Battle would again dominate the extreme four-wheel drive category, also the only one to make it past 5 laps. Despite only getting 4 laps in the books, Amy Chapman would take the honours in production four-wheel drive, her 3rd straight class victory and a clean sweep of the year. Tim Dewhurst battled tooth and nail to grab the win in the naturally aspirated superlight category, also the only one to get home. While in the turbo category, Cody Crocker was awarded the class victory, having completed 4 out of the 5 laps. Crocker's race time was more than 10 minutes quicker than the rest of the field. With no other superlights completing more than 4 laps, he would finally ascend to the top. The outright result saw Rhodes take victory by 8 minutes over Scott Schiller and Beau Robinson. Stephen Sanderson finished 6th after starting in 33rd position, with Greg Hicks and Aaron Habe also living to tell the tale. In 10th place, Jeff Loader's performance two-wheel drive gave him the best result of the year in a very bruising affair.
Team's overwhelmed and, it's been a hard slog and it was a tough day out there for us, and to go 3 in a row, we're definitely wrapped at this stage. We didn't go with our own dramas and, everyone in the field, that's just a credit to how tough this event really is. I think I might celebrate this one. We don't normally celebrate too much, but I think this one's pretty special to go 3 in a row, so yeah, definitely.
Fortunately, Trav had a motor issue. I think he was sort of leading at the time. We're up in front, so yeah, it's good to bring a podium home for the team. And we started 20th odd, so yeah, we had a pretty good run trying to get past everyone and just put some time on everyone.
Having finally secured his first outright win of the season, Jack Rhodes would ascend to the throne and take out his maiden Australian Off-Road Championship. Leading the outright points coming into today, Aaron Habe would bravely fight back from adversity to secure 2nd place for the year, while Stephen Sanderson's stout consistency put him into the top 3. Shannon Wrench survived a bruising year to make it into 4th, while brothers Travis and Beau Robinson were equally matched. Rhodes also held on to the top spot in Pro Class, with Stephen Sanderson successfully defending his title from last year. Dale Martin dominated the Pro Lights all season long, while Graham Tickner just scraped in to take the Super 1650 crown from Werner Zettel. Teenager Stuart Chapman secured the performance two-wheel drive mantle despite some bad luck this weekend, whilst his sister-in-law Amy Chapman made history as the first woman ever to take the production four-wheel drive title. In extreme four-wheel drive, Kent Battle was unstoppable all year long, while in Superlights, Tim Dewhurst beat out Brent Perrott for bragging rights in the naturally aspirated category, with Jeff McNiven taking the turbo category. Spanning almost 1,500 kilometres across some of the most arid environment on all of planet Earth, 3 brutal rounds of the Australian Off-Road Championship had been waged. Nearly 300 entries across 9 classes battled each other and the elements in 2016. And as the sun sets on another epic year, the teams look forward to 2017 and beyond.